Hi everyone, this is Jim West with Carolina Varsity, and right now I want to talk about is the 1A Atlantic 6 Conference. There's 5 teams in this conference that actually play football. The 6th team, Ocracoke, does not have enough players or athletes to play football, so only 5 teams. And this conference is kind of it's been a it used to be the Tobacco Belt Conference a long time ago. You used to have teams from Beaufort County and Terrell County and Cresswell and Janesville and a bunch of these teams that would play. I think at one time you had Mesquite, Columbia, Cresswell, let's see, Janesville, Aurora, Pantego, Chocowinity, teams like that. They would all be in the same conference, and it was some good football for small 1A. And what's happened is with Northside and Southside created back in '89, you've seen teams like Chocowinity, Aurora, and Pantego. They're gone now. Bath was also another one of the schools are gone. Janesville got morphed with Williamston to create Riverside. One time, I think Roanoke was in this conference, and Roanoke is now part of the South Great Conference. So, anyway, it's an old historic conference with just a bunch of small little communities that had high school football. And this is probably by far the smallest of the conferences. You'll never see any of these teams this day and age make a deep run in the playoffs. And really, the number one pick I have is Columbia, and it's another one of these conferences where it's kind of like it's a process of elimination. I think Columbia has got the most coming back this upcoming season, so it's hard to say on this because if you have 25 kids out there, you've done a really good job at places like Columbia. Number two I have is Madam Mesquite. It's not Madam Muscat, but Madam Mesquite. Just want to point that out to our viewers. There's some places like there's Perquimans County, and some people will pronounce it Perquimans. And although you want to pronounce it Perquimans, it's actually known by the locals as Perquimans. It's like a little town called Coneta. Forgot, I think it might be in Edgecombe County, but it's spelled Conetoe, spelled Conto, but it's pronounced Coneta. They pronounce things differently there. Number three I have is Cresswell. Funny story about Cresswell. 20 some years ago, I came into Plymouth late at night, and one of my in-laws took me out to get me something to eat and said, "Well, you want to go spotlight?" And then we went close to Cresswell, and of course I'm a city guy, and I'm like, "Oh, sure, let's do that." And all of a sudden, in the distance, I see this thing going like this right here, and I'm like, "What is that?" And he's like, "Oh, that's a black bear. You going to eat this fries?" Anyway, Cresswell, they had to actually forfeit a couple games last year because they didn't have enough numbers, and they didn't make the playoff, or they withdrew from the playoffs because of lack of numbers last year. Number four I have is Cape Hatteras. If they have 20 guys on their roster, that's something to be said. A couple years ago, they actually forfeited the season from a lack of numbers. Last team I have is Beargrass. This is the first year ever that they'll be playing football, and that's if they play football. I'm still not sold on it. They've scheduled games. I think they're playing Manteo, and they might be playing Lejeune, and each one of these, I forgot to mention, every one of these teams in this conference play each other twice. So that's 8 games right there for Beargrass if they do play, plus 2 non-conference games, which give them 10. So anyway, this conference is historically there's some significance to this conference. Going forward, you're not going to see any of these teams play for a state title anytime soon. So anyway, this is Jim West with Carolina Varsity, and thank you so much for listening.